Got to get to breaking news happening right now. A judge has just sentenced former Philadelphia police officer Mark Dial in the shooting death of Eddie Irizarry. He was just sentenced to immediate parole. That information coming from our reporter who is in the courtroom right now. Dial shot and killed Irizarry during a traffic stop in Kensington. Almost 2 years ago, a jury found him guilty of voluntary manslaughter. Dial was acquitted of the more serious charge of third-degree murder. But again, a judge just handing down that sentence of immediate parole. That Mark Dial, the former Philadelphia police officer, is going home. Now, to give you some background on this case, this happened back in August of 2023, August 14th to be exact, when Dial and his partner pulled over Eddie Irizarry after he was driving the wrong way in Kensington. Police initially claimed that Irizarry was outside of his vehicle and lunged at officers with a weapon when he was fatally shot. But that was found out later to be false. And a lot of this case came down to body-worn camera video. It was critical in this case. It showed that Dial and his partner were getting out of their vehicle with their guns drawn, and they approached Irizarry's car. Irizarry was still inside that car. 6 seconds after exiting the vehicle, Dial fired 6 shots through the car's closed driver's side window, striking and killing Eddie Irizarry. Now, he was convicted in May of voluntary manslaughter, found not guilty on the more serious third-degree murder charge. And again, we have just learned from a judge in the sentencing today that he has been granted immediate parole and is going home. Now, during the trial, Philadelphia police officer Michael Morris, this was Dial's former partner who witnessed the shooting, testified that he shouted "gun" just moments before Dial opened fire. But Irizarry had no handgun. He was in that driver's seat, again, of his vehicle with the window up. A pair of knives were found in the vehicle after the shooting. We're told, again, we've got reporters in the courtroom right now, NBC 10's Brian Sheehan. We're told that Mark Dial did take the stand during trial, testified that when he fired those 6 shots that killed Irizarry, it was the first time that he had ever used his service weapon in the line of duty. He was very emotional, telling the court that he was sorry, but that he feared for his life, that he didn't want to get shot in the face. We talked to the Irizarry family extensively over the last year and a half to 2 years. They have told us consistently that they have been fighting for justice in this case. They were very, very outspoken and upset when that murder charge was dropped and Dial was released from jail on bail. That's when that murder charge was dropped. But again, the other charges remained. The family did address the court during his sentencing hearing today. We're told Mark Dial addressed the court as well. That happened about a half hour ago at 10:30 this morning. We're still waiting on our reporters. Brian Sheehan, again, in the courtroom right now, wrapping up final details in this sentencing hearing. But you're looking now on screen. So a few more details on what we have just learned, just coming into our newsroom. Voluntary manslaughter, 9.5 months to 2 years in prison. Possessing an instrument of a crime, 1 month to 2 years in prison. And RICO, 6 months to 2 years. Concurrent sentence we're talking about here. And again, Mark Dial, if you're just joining us, the former Philadelphia police officer who was convicted of shooting and killing Eddie Irizarry, has been granted immediate parole. We expect to hear from the family and attorneys sometime today. But we're going to stay on top of this breaking news story. When this happened back in August of 2023, it really gripped the community, the Kensington community there, the entire Philadelphia area really trained on this case to see what was going to happen with this Philadelphia officer. And again, a lot of this case really came down to that body-worn camera video that you saw just a second ago on screen. It really was critical in this case because police initially claimed that Eddie Irizarry was outside of his vehicle and lunged at officers with a weapon when he was shot fatally. His family had maintained that is not true. And once that body-worn camera video came out, it showed that Irizarry was, in fact, inside his car with the windows rolled up when this shooting happened. That body camera video showed Dial and his partner getting out. This is the video that you're looking at right now. Getting out of their car, guns drawn, approaching Irizarry's car. Again, he was driving the wrong direction, in the wrong direction down a street in Kensington. They approached Irizarry's car, and then 6 seconds after getting out of their vehicle, Dial fired 6 shots through the car's closed driver's side window, striking and killing Irizarry. There was a lot of talk also about what was yelled in those moments, in those 6 seconds. Was it gun? Was it something else? But his partner, again, who witnessed the shooting, testified that he did, in fact, shout gun just a moment before Dial opened fire. You're looking live right now as we get our camera steady. This is the lobby right now of the Justice Center, where we are waiting for Irizarry's family, for others who were in that courtroom. And again, NBC 10's Brian Sheehan going to be making his way out in just a bit. This could be the family that we're looking at right now. We've talked to them extensively for almost as long as this trial, this case has been going on, has been open and going on for nearly 2 years. Again, this all happened back in August of 2023. So this August will be 2 years since the incident that killed Eddie Irizarry, that claimed his life. In fact, a year ago, in August of 2024, the family honored him in a vigil. And again, we're very outspoken about wanting to fight for justice and not letting his name and this go without a fight. And so now we're going to be waiting again. They've been very outspoken about how they feel about how the justice system, how Mark Dial was later released from jail after that more serious charge was dropped. And so we suspect that we will talk to them in moments to hear their reaction. NBC 10's Brian Sheehan, again, if you're just joining us, is still in the courtroom. He is still in the courthouse, likely trying to talk with attorneys on both sides of this, talk with family members. He'll be able to give us a little bit more color as to what happened during those impact statements from the family. Again, we heard from Mark Dial himself, who gave a statement in the courtroom. He'll be able to shine a little bit more light over the reaction to the verdict from family members and from the defense as well. If you are just joining us again, we are following breaking news. A former Philadelphia police officer, Mark Dial, who shot and killed Eddie Irizarry just seconds into a traffic stop in Kensington, has just learned his fate. He was granted immediate parole. He will be going home. He was sentenced for the shooting death of Eddie Irizarry, a shooting death that happened in August 2023 in the city's Kensington neighborhood. Dial and his partner had been outspoken as saying that they mistakenly thought the victim had a gun. In fact, Eddie Irizarry did not have a gun. And you're looking at the Irizarry family now coming outside of the courthouse.
Your reaction that he'll walk out.
Let's listen in.
Again, unbelievable. Again, my nephew's life as if it didn't matter at all. He literally took his life. There was more than enough evidence. 6 seconds, for crying out loud, and he gets to go home again. And what do we have? Now to go to a cemetery and visit Eddie all over again. But we didn't fail him. The system failed him, not the family, because we fought hard. The system failed him.
We're expecting some jail time.
Of course we were. Of course.
I mean, if it was me and I would have committed this crime, I would have been years. I would have been doing life in prison.
You wouldn't have been
so
out.
He was a cop, so he gets the okay. But that's where they messed up at, because now you're telling everybody, okay, y'all go ahead and get shot, and the cop's going to walk off. Because right now he's walking out with his family. We need to go to a cemetery.
The judge said that he thinks he feels remorse. What do you think about that?
Bull.
He does not feel remorse. Those tears were not there. Those tears just started today. Those tears started in May of 2025. Those tears were never there all along. Never. Not once did they even look our way. Not once did he even say he was sorry. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. So I don't buy them.
What's your message to the court?
They need to stop failing the people. They need to stop failing the little people.
Yeah.
En español, si pudieras decirnos parte del día de hoy, ¿cómo se siente tras esta sentencia?
De nuevo, disgustada, porque él puede irse de nuevo para su casa, con su familia. Ahora nosotros tenemos que ir para el cementerio, para ver la tumba de Eddie. El sistema de nuevo nos falló. Y es un golpe duro de nuevo. It's been an emotional roller coaster all along. And here we are all over again.
¿Fue justa la decisión del juez o no?
No, claro que no.
¿Qué esperaban que pasara?
Que la dieran como...
As you're listening there to the family of Eddie Irizarry, his aunt and other family members, they have just come down from the courtroom, and you can see they are frustrated, they are angry, saying that the system failed him, that they fought hard over these last nearly 2 years. They were expecting jail time, but the former Philadelphia police officer has been granted immediate parole, and he will be going home.
Why doesn't he at least get justice? At least give him 5 years. Give us some type of peace. Give us some type of comfort.
Y él dijo que estaba arrepentido. Lo vimos
I don't
llorando
buy
otra
it.
vez.
I don't buy it.
Arrepentido.
I don't buy it. Those tears I do not buy it at all.
Would you have been satisfied with 5 years?
Of course.
With any jail time?
Of course.
What works?
We wanted him back in jail.
What works
But
do
he
you have
won't.
for the judge with this decision he made?
You know what? He made his choice. I personally don't believe in the system now.
I don't believe
I don't
in it.
believe in the system.
And
That's it.
just another judge pew. There you go, right there.
Would you
That's
have
how I
been
feel.
How do you feel about him mispronouncing Eddie's last name when he started?
That part. Yeah.
That's a no given there.
would you have been satisfied with house arrest?
Yes. I mean,
Even house
and
arrest?
No,
not
not house
even
arrest.
house
No,
arrest.
not house arrest, 'cause now
he
he-
need to, like I said, I wouldn't got house arrest.
Given the sentence that was handed down, would that have
No,
taken everything into
I would
consideration?
prefer
No.
him being in jail.
No.
That's what I would prefer.
Ana,
Because anyone would have been locked up.
Ana, y tú leíste hoy las palabras. ¿Cómo fue ese momento para ti tener esa oportunidad de hablar con el juez y decir esas palabras? En representación de la familia también.
En la familia y en el mío me dio mucho orgullo. Eddie fue alguien muy importante para nosotros. Esto ha sido un trauma que no vamos a olvidar. Pero te prometo que el nombre de él seguirá vivo. Seguiremos diciendo su nombre. Loud and proud, Eddie Irizarry. He was never, ever, ever guilty of anything. And we're going to continue to say his name. It would not go in vain. I promise you, it would not go in vain.
Mira, cuando saliste de la sala dijiste que te dieron otra bofetada en la cara. Turn around. She's very wow.
Again, you're listening to reporters there talking to the family of Eddie Irizarry, his aunt there. Many of them have T-shirts. That's a picture of Eddie Irizarry there, right on her shirt. The other family member on the back of hers said, "No justice, no peace." They are frustrated. They are angry, saying that the system failed them, failed Eddie. They said they fought hard and they were expecting some sort of jail time. Instead, Mark Dial, the former Philadelphia police officer, is going home. A judge just granted him immediate parole, so he is going home, and they made it a point to say, we are going to a cemetery after this. NBC 10's Brian Sheehan was in the courtroom. I did hear him a moment ago asking questions, so it appears that he is out there also asking questions of the family. Brian, I don't know if you are hooked in yet, if you can even hear me, but when you get ready, we'd love to hear from you about this case that is... can see family members there crying and chanting along with supporters. Say his name, Eddie Irizarry. That is exactly what his aunt there just said. They'll continue to say his name, but the system failed him. This is how they feel right now, emotional. And again, they say they are on their way to the cemetery eventually today. If you are just joining us, you are watching breaking news right now. Former Philadelphia police officer Mark Dial has been sentenced to immediate parole for the shooting death of Eddie Irizarry. Happened during a traffic stop back in August of 2023 in Kensington. Irizarry was driving in the wrong direction, and the body camera video that you're looking at right there proved to be critical in this case because police initially claimed that Irizarry was outside of the vehicle and lunged at officers with a weapon, and that turned out to not be true. Let's listen in.
A really good, decent human being that, you know, today I think truly got justice. Mark Dial was a dedicated public servant. He risked his life every day for perfect strangers. This case obviously was a terrible tragedy, and in a big sense, there's no winners or losers here. But the judge did the right thing today. He gave justice to a good man and a great family, and a police department that unfortunately has to do some impossible things every day in the line of fire. And we're proud to have represented them, and we can't be more thankful for the result.
We're just happy that the court took the time to carefully consider the evidence that was presented in this case, and he saw it for what it was, that Mark mistakenly believed that Mr. Irizarry had a gun. His partner yelled, "Gun," and Mark reacted, fearing for his life. And again, there's no winners, there's no losers, but justice was served today.
Will he walk out today? What's the next step?
Yes, he'll be out of the building probably in a little while, and he'll be going home and putting the pieces together of a life that was really shattered for a while. And we have no doubt that he'll continue to give back to his community in the years to come. That's who he is, that's who he has been, and that's who he will always be.
You've done this for a long time. You stood in front of a lot of judges. You made arguments trying to get people home in the same day. Were you surprised at all that the judge found in this fashion?
We knew that we had a judge who would carefully consider everything that was presented in this case, including the facts of the case presented at trial, Mark's background, Mark's community involvement, his family, his career as a police officer. So no, we're not surprised. We had faith that the judge would carefully consider everything.
Just one quick question. Are you guys considering still appealing his conviction at all, or are you still looking at that?
We haven't made any decisions beyond today. Our focus has really been on making sure that Mark is able to get on with the rest of his life, that he not return to prison. And we're overjoyed by today, and we'll discuss, the future in the future. Thank you.
Gentlemen,
Thank you,
guys.
guys.
Appreciate you waiting.
All right, you're listening to attorneys there for Mark Dial, defense attorneys calling him a dedicated public servant who risked his life every day, calling him a good man, but saying there's no winners in this, that this was just a terrible tragedy and that Dial feared for his life, and the judge made the right decision. So you've heard there from the family of Eddie Irizarry, who said they feel like the system failed him. And the defense attorney saying that the judge got this right. So we're waiting for NBC 10's Brian Sheehan. We know he's out there on the street right now outside the courthouse, gathering more information, talking to family members, talking to defense attorneys, talking to everyone out there that this case really gripped the city of Philadelphia when it happened back in August of 2023. All right, let's go back to the sentencing details. Again, Mark Dial, a former Philadelphia police officer granted immediate parole, is going home. You can see the sentencing details there. Voluntary manslaughter, 9.5 months to 2 years in prison. That was what it carried. Possessing an instrument of a crime, 1 month to 2 years. And RICO, 6 months to 2 years. This is breaking news that we have been following just for the past 20 minutes or so. But Mark Dial has been granted immediate parole and is going home, much to the frustration and the anger of the Irizarry family. The former Philadelphia police officer saying in court during the trial that he never wanted to fire his gun, that he feared for his life, that he thought he was going to get shot in the face, that he thought his partner yelled gun. And that's why 6 seconds after getting out of the car, his car with his partner with guns drawn, with those 6 seconds, that's why he fired through the car door, through the window, shooting and killing Eddie Irizarry. Frustration, anger, got to say that again, from the Irizarry family. And Brian Sheehan was right there talking with family members. Brian, you were inside the courtroom. Thanks for getting down here. You were inside the courtroom when all this happened. Kind of walk us through what happened during sentencing.
Yeah, so we heard from both sides. Obviously, we heard from the family of Mark Dial. We also heard from Mark Dial himself. We then heard from Eddie Irizarry's aunt. She read several victim impact statements. After that wrap, shortly after 10:30, Judge Glenn Bronson took a recess while he considered all the facts of the case, everything that he had been presented, and then he returned around 11 o'clock this morning where he delivered his verdict. Now, I'm going to walk you through the verdict, and I'm going to walk you through the sentencing, rather, and then kind of tell you how we got to where we are right now. So for the crime of voluntary manslaughter, Judge Bronson sentenced Mark Dial to 9.5 months to 2 years in prison, possessing an instrument of a crime 1 month to 2 years, recklessly endangering another person 6 months to 2 years, and then for a total of 9.5 months to 2 years. But because Mark Dial had already served 10 months in prison at the beginning of this case, Judge Bronson granted him immediate parole, which means he will walk out of the Justice Center today, where he will go home with his family. Once Judge Bronson granted that immediate parole, there was an audible gasp in the courtroom, most notably from Mark Dial's family, who was obviously very elated that their son and loved one will be coming home with them today. A totally different story for the Irizarrys, who throughout this 2-year process have been telling us that they have lacked faith in the criminal justice system, and then they, just as you saw a few moments ago, they told us that they had no faith, and they still have no faith as they're walking out of the courthouse today. I do want to tell you some of the things that was said. Mark Dial addressing the court, he said, "I'm terribly sorry for the pain I've caused Mr. Irizarry's family, and I will carry that pain for the rest of my life." Dial sobbed several times throughout the sentencing proceedings this morning, most notably when his mother got up on the stand saying her son is good and kind. He carries his pain every day and will carry it with him every day for the rest of his life. Irizarry's aunt got up. She spoke for several members, on behalf of several members of Eddie Irizarry's family. She said, "Luck has been on your side, but I want your luck to end here today." Obviously, when we spoke with her just a few moments ago, she does not feel that justice was served in this case. That is what's happening here live outside the Criminal Justice Center. If we hear from District Attorney Larry Krasner, whether in person, or we're expecting to hear from him in some capacity, whether that be in person or a statement, of course, we will bring it to you right here on NBC 10. But for now, live outside the Criminal Justice Center in Center City, I'm Brian Sheehan, NBC 10 News.
All right, Brian, stand by for a minute. We want to go over to Isabel Sanchez, who is also outside of the courthouse. She was in the courtroom as well, along with Brian. She has talked extensively to the Irizarry family, both in English and in Spanish. Isabel, you just spoke with Eddie Irizarry's father. Can you tell us how he's feeling and what he told you at this point?
So many emotions, Tracy. It's been a very emotional 2 years for the entire family, but especially for him. He actually had to have open heart surgery in the midst of all of this was going on a few months ago. And he says that today he is disappointed, but not surprised. Speaking to us in Spanish, he was born in Puerto Rico. Spanish is his first language. He says that unfortunately he feels justice will not be served, and he feels that justice will see different between a cop and a normal citizen like his son. He emphasized that Eddie had no prior criminal record, that he was a good son, a good grandson, a member of the community, and that his only mistake was driving erratically, that he deserved maybe some points on his license, maybe a ticket, but definitely not to be shot to death. I asked him how he felt about the tears of Officer Mark Dial in court, and his statement, he said that he did not believe those tears, that those tears were not a reflection of how he really feels, that his perception, of course, and that he's extremely hurt, but that his focus now will be on keeping Eddie's memory alive. They're going to head to the cemetery today, and they're planning, unfortunately, to celebrate Eddie's 30th birthday at the cemetery in September. They're looking forward to going home, to spending time as a family. He says this whole ordeal has been extremely difficult on them, so taking a step back to breathe as a family and process everything that happened today is definitely the next steps for them. Tracy.
Isabel Sanchez reporting live outside of the courthouse. Isabel, thank you for that again. You've been watching breaking news. A former Philadelphia police officer, Mark Dial, was just sentenced in the shooting death of Eddie Irizarry. He has been granted immediate parole. He will be going home sometime today. We'll be right back.